Oh, hopefully this is working. Sort of looks like it's working. There we go. Yes, we're up. Okay. See if these settings still work here too. And why are you changing focus on me? I came through on there. Okay, that works as well. One of the things I have to do is print off a new clip for the mic connector. So, what do we have going on today? My name's Richard Murray. This is Zidim. This is my live stream every Wednesday at 10. We'll see how our day goes. What I'm planning on working on is my printer. However, I haven't finished adjusting some camera settings for in here because the printer is over there. And I haven't really set things up in here. Having the printer in here is a step forward. My work mess is a mess. I think that should give you an example of how bad a mess it is. Actually, here, too many screens here. Yeah, there's the disaster area. Come on, where'd you go? There. Okay. I can see sort of what's happening on here. Title does say quick look and extruder, and extruders are once again the topic today. If we're on the live stream, I'll pop this camera over some more. See if we can get it towards the actual printer. Just back there, I have a drill press in the way. See if I can move the drill press out of the way. I have this thing about drill presses, I guess. This is a Dremel drill press. It's allowed to be in the workbench. Excuse me, Dremel. I think I got room for you under here. I can't move the printer closer to over here because I have a large glass sheet under here, and I just realized that I will be able to move that about a foot over, which will get me the printer about a foot closer. So that's doable. I have some filament that will not come out of the printer. I'm actually been baking it for the last few minutes. We'll play with my cable here. My mic cable. I'll leave it at that. And see what we got here. Unload filament. See if this has worked. I took it up to 250. And no difference. It's stuck in there. I'm putting a lot of force on that and it's not happy, so I'm going to cool this right down. There. Cooling process has started. Where's my clippers? There we go. Hit the right button. I'm just going to clip this off here and hold the filament. Out. and we'll let that cool. And put that onto Gus's bed. Now, if I play with this correctly and just double check what this second camera is looking at. Don't look at my gut. There. The various parts I have to deal with. All bagged up in here. Most important thing I have, and what's causing me grief right now, I believe, is the PTFE tubing that's in there is damaged. So here's a new set of PTFE tubing. In here, a set that Gus, my cat, has not been at. So the existing PTFE tubing is out of round on there, and it's taking a lot of force to get the filament through it. So that's the original tubing that's still in the extruder. I think that's my main problem right now. I hope it is. My goal is to put new filament in, have it cut properly to size. If that fails, then I have a new E3D extruder here. P6 Universal Fixing Kit, there we go. And here's the electronics for it. And they give me nice notice to check the website for the instructions. But what's nice about this is seeing the parts of an extruder. So, what parts do we have here? Move these over so they're in the shot. Well, the first thing that filament encounters, this is a direct drive system. So, there's a gasket goes on here, and the PTFE tubing goes through the heatsink. And there's a little partition in there. Within the heatsink is the heat break. This goes inside the heatsink, and it connects to the block, and the filament comes in here. This is where it melts, and then you have your nozzle. Force it through the nozzle and you get your nice sized row of filament that you can put down. So this block, it's what conducts the heat. What you need added on to that is in this package. I'm not going to open it up, but you'll see there's this piece of metal here. I believe the proper pronunciation for that is thermistor, and it is what actually heats up the block. So that's inside the block, and attached to the sides of the block, you can see one of these here. That's the actual heat sensor, so you know what the temperature the block is running at. So that's what, then you also have your fans, cooling fan, and E3D includes with this a silicon heat sock, which I keep on my units. So that's all the parts of the extruder. Yeah, that was not inside there, that was just inside the bag. So that's what we have to work with here. What have we got going on this computer? Find a mouse. There we go. Now, all these parts in here. fan hasn't kicked out yet, so that will kick out shortly, and then the fun can begin. It'll be heating up and cooling down as we go through the process. You have to heat it up to loosen off the nozzle, and you have to be at full temperature for that. You can't do it when it's cold. You can't tighten up the nozzle while it's cold either. I don't want it to be 250 Celsius as I'm working on it. I like my fingertips, even though I have burned them a few times. Get the cows out of the way here. There. That's garbage. I know the woodland scenic cows. Put it up there. So I've not been very productive at all in the last few weeks. It is summertime. I've been enjoying my summer. I'm just going to put some of the tools away. A long time ago, we were talking about handy tools to have here. This is one of them. Just has 3 little prongs, and when you're dealing with a small nut or small screw, grab it in there, and then you can put it in or hold it. So you get into a fairly tight space. Very handy for working away on things, even when you're putting a kit together. Very useful for doing that. Now, what I just got inspired to do here, the fan's cut out, so we're doing good that way. I'm going to let it cool off a little bit more. I'm just going to see if I can slide this printer a little bit closer to us. I have to do this very carefully. Make sure I don't disrupt anything major. Yes, I talked about it on Friday. Here's a Haribo. These are the mints. Oh, super, mints, minis. Okay. They melted. That came in with my last order of filament. So I was so disappointed by that. Another thing it's handy to have in the workshop is something, where is it here? This one's stuck. This is for running cables. Why this one was here, I'm not certain. But these are plates, and you can put a zip tie through them. So when you're doing cable management in your workspace, these are very handy to have. They come with double-sided tape, and that's what was just stuck to the table here. But they have holes that you can put a small screw in. I normally use that. Or lately, I've been doing a lot of just using a hot glue gun and using those. Hot glue, very handy for putting things like power bars up so they're not moving around. I've been using that. I got the idea off of Barnacle,'s his cable management system, and saw that and went, what a great idea. Gotta try it. And I did, and it works. So I have a few power bars now that are nice and solid, and not going to bounce around on me. Let's see if we can move this some more now. when I'm moving. No, I'm not going to work on that. Okay, I just realized how big a job that's going to be. We're not going to get there. I have, for my work surface, see if it shows up here, what's underneath my mat actually is a large sheet of glass. I may have talked about it in the past, but that is great for working with models because any glue you get on there, you can just scrape it right off, comes off. It's a flat surface. I have checked that, something I never even considered checking before, but forget who said it. They had a piece of glass and they started having problems, and they found out it was an incredibly warped piece of glass that they ended up using. So not all glass is flat. So that's why I didn't have. Sorry for the flash there. One of the reasons I want to shoot in here is this might be kind of bright, but my work area here, this is the top. I have train stuff on top of there. It's going to be a large engine terminal, and I have these LED stripes. I painted this white, added the LED stripes in here. There's 2 sets, and they're under independent control, so I can adjust the level for each one of those. So very handy. Decent light here. Keep hitting the wrong button. It gives nice light to work from and works pretty well for the video. What I found in the other room when I'm working on the printer constantly, I could not see what exactly was going on with the printer unless I had a good flashlight with me. But it's much better over here. Trying to figure out a good home for this piece. As I was going through things, came across this little chunk of wire. Took me a while to figure out what it was for, and that's actually for my foam cutter. Add that in, it heats up and it just slices right through the foam. So as you go through, find more stuff and realize that you have to clean up even more than you thought. There, that's looked after. Now, how much cable do I have here? Rather than having to shoot all the way across, I'm seeing if I can get the printer into the shot with this camera. Doesn't have a high tripod, but it works. Okay. Now I can move over there and we can see what we're going to do. I know I've mentioned it before, but I'll mention it again. There's not much room in this house. So this room used to be the master bedroom, and I went bedroom, I don't need much room. Where I need the room is for my trains. So I ditched this as being the master bedroom and turned it into the train room and workshop. Makes sense to me. You know, I'm the guy with the drill press in the kitchen. Today's exciting because this afternoon the carpenter's coming over and we're going over my plans for the shop in the backyard. There we go. And hopefully this will start up in the next week. So hopefully in a few weeks I'll have a finished workshop. Which is exciting, because then some stuff, not a lot, some stuff will go from this room. The big thing is a bunch of stuff that's in the living room right now will head into the workshop. More than just a drill press. For the backdrop for the trains, I haven't cut any yet. It's more of finding a place to work. And I have to finish this bench work right behind me. As soon as that bench work's done, I have 4x8 sheets of styrene. It's much cheaper to buy it as a 4x8 sheet than it is to purchase it in hobby size packages. It's about the same price actually to get yeah. I'm just seeing when you're getting some upgrades for your MK2S. All right. Yeah, it's about $21, $22 to get a small package of styrene at the hobby shop, and for a 4x8 sheet, it's the exact same price. You go to either a plastic shop or a sign maker. There we go. This is the heat sock. Take a look at where I am on here. That's looked after. You can tell this one's been at use. My heat block is not nice and shiny like the other one. Now, I'm afraid that I have to just at this point, I am ready for the first round of adjusting this. I can take the nozzle up to about 100. Come on. Temperatures, thank you. I don't do a preheat, I just adjusting the nozzle temperature, and about 100 should do it. 100 should do it, get it hot enough for taking off the nozzle. And any other tools I'm going to need right away? Nope, that's it. Okay. If you don't have one yet, get yourself a 7mm wrench. Makes life much easier. Okay, we're there. You always have to support. You just have to loosen it. You don't have to take it right off at that temperature. Now, before I do anything else, I'm going to let it cool down. me grab a sip of water. So when I'm working on this, I'm over here. I'm just going to play with my cameras a little bit. See if it's a little bit better. There. I'm crooked. I have to adjust that. We'll fix that up in a little bit. But anyways, I'm really crooked. Let me go back to that camera. Waiting for the fan to die down. So if this is more like this, is it anywhere near as crooked? It's better. Cutting off top of my head. There. I know, very professional. Get your camera set up before you go on air. We'll get there. Yeah, I'm cooling it off again so I don't fry myself. If you're into the trains, a little bit of circuitry here. This is for the DCC. And this just allows you to hook your DCC system into your computer. So your DCC connector on this side, and for your main bus, and then a USB connector on the other side. So this is a project that I'm getting on with. Oh, here's another piece for the foam cutter. Ongoing process for my layout. This is all DCC, and actually in the next couple of weeks I have a high-speed breaker board that I have to wire up for the museum. That's something should have been done quite some time ago, but one thing leads to another. And there. About to cut off with the fan here. Let that cool. Nozzle is off. Now, fan is off. So yes, for that high-speed breaker that I'll be working on. This is an NCE system that we're using at the museum. It's what I have here. The high-speed breaker board comes from was it Tony's? I'll have to look up my train links now. What do we have here? Find the right button here. Let's see now. Trains. Suppliers. Do I have Tony's on here? Manufacturers. Tony's Train Exchange. That's what it is. So the DCC systems, Tony's Train Exchange, it's going on to a piece of scrap floorboard that I have here. I do all the internal wiring to a terminal strip on that board, and then I'll take up that package and hook it up at the museum. We fried one power pack almost right off the bat there, and the reason it got fried was what we have is on one side is DC control, on the other side DCC, where it used to be power pack A, power pack B, and when it was hooked up, for somehow on one of the settings there was a short. So when you powered up that one to fire up a train, it was something like a siding. Didn't get used very often, but it immediately fried a power pack because your DCC system, you put what, 16 amps on there, and that went right into the DC power supply, and it wasn't happy. It smoked right away. So we've cleaned that up, but some of the other things that come from that is, yes, we need a high-speed breaker in there. So in order to get this further apart, and I need to adjust this fan, I need to spin this around some more. I'll do this spin. See, I do have concerns in here, different than what we had before. Bring this up. Are we getting it into the shot? There we go. Sort of into the shot. I have to move train stuff out of the way in order to do the work. We'll get there, slowly but surely. At least I got this into this room now. Something I appreciate. As we go through this time, when I put it back together, I'll hopefully get all the parts done correctly the first time. Need to rename the channel from Zidim to Watch Richard Take Apart an Extruder again. I'm not putting the new extruder in yet. I wanted to see if I can get this one up and running, because to do the new extruder means taking all this cabling apart, as well as I didn't see a connector in there in the cable package, so I may have to jury a very good connector at the end. How are we doing here? It's coming. So yes, start with the workshop. Depending on when we're building that, I might miss a stream, as I'll be out. We have to move a garden shed in order to build the workshop. Is it right off yet? Almost. Oh, doesn't help that. There. Pay attention to the camera. My two normal monitors are behind me. And I do have one monitor in front, but I'm having a hard time reading usually install connectors near the X carriage. Yes, I like that idea. Just having a connector attached right here, going from there to the extruder would make a lot of sense. As I say, there, having it attached to the frame and just having enough flex so the extruder can go back and forth and move along the z-axis as well, but prevent you from having to go in to the electronics box. That makes a lot of sense. what do we got here? And we are apart. Next. Oh no, can we see as I'm working on this? No, power supply is going to get in the way. Have a nice look at my arm here. Now that I have the printer in here, I know I'm going to have to do some work at moving the cameras around to provide the best shots of working. Although hopefully this will be on my extreme left side permanently and not needing to be here working on the printer as opposed to having my normal workbench visible. 2L connectors. There. Okay, let's take this back. There. How are we doing here? See what we have on here. You can see I left this filament going in. I haven't been able to pull it out at all. I wanted to leave it that way. Once I get this partially pulled out, I'll be heating things up to look at that. But first, I want to just move this off the side for a second. Yes. I like the idea of having the connectors close by, as opposed to having to run all the way back into that electronics box. Now, I understand why. Is it Ultimaker? Is that the one? The latest one has the extruder head. It's designed more for you know, your engineering desk, somewhere where you don't have time to actually be working on your extruder. You just want to pop things out. So they have sort of an all-in-one extruder that if you want, if you've got a problem beyond just doing a nozzle change, you can just pop the whole thing out. Very expensive way of going about things. At the same time, very quick and handy. So it'd be nice, rather than having to undo all these nuts and that, just be able to click it out. Put in your new one, but you still, a nice design to add on top of that is being able to do some work with it. You know, as I say, that design is a very expensive way of going about it. We had from our kit the heat break going into the block. That's what I have here. There's the heat break going into the heat block. You can tell that I've had a lot of seepage over the past. It wasn't a problem this time, but this is where I don't want to damage this heat break, and I may have have to heat it up in order to get it off. Well, it's safe to heat it up this way. Guess that cable can't go anywhere else. Have to get everything positioned such that when the heat block, when I add heat here, don't need a lot of heat. I just don't need anything to come in contact with it and melting. And then hitting it with a pair of pliers. Have everything ready to go here. We have power. Yes, it's not set up yet. Once again, do not do a preheat because the bed doesn't need it. All you have to do is heat up the nozzle. As we're heating up. Now, no matter what I did, I could not pull this. Yep, I can feel the heat. I couldn't get this out. I can see, you know, it's worn in here where the gearing has been trying to pull out and move the filament. The filament is stuck right in here. And we're hot. Give it some strength. Make sure I'm going in the right direction. There we go. I got that much. Start cooling it down. There's a lot of material. Alright, I need some different eyes here. Where is my magnifier set? Should be right there. It is not right there. Not down below. Means it's in the other room. Can I do this without having to go into the other room? This is what I have. Here's the heat break. Filament is actually stuck right inside of here. And I can see what looks like is a little bit more filament inside the block itself. We're at 72 Celsius and cooling down. I want to have a closer look at that. So, I'll be right back as I go get my glasses, my other set. sorry about that. Move went well, except I bashed my head into the table here. Let's have a closer look. There's material on here. The actual heat break, what's damaged. Doesn't look damaged. It looks like when I put it together the last time, here we go. It looks like this, and that's what camera do I have on here? Okay, looks like this end was not flush inside of here. There's material that's in there. So if it was not flush, heat's not being conducted properly. There's a lot of buildup on here. Let's see if we can clean this up rather than replacing it. Hot. What do I have here? I'm not going to get in there with an X-Acto. Maybe I can. Another tool that I ended up inheriting. A little bit different here. Doesn't have a good grip. This is a nice blade, bad handle. Just steel is different. The same blade. Yeah, yes. Oh, sorry about that. Earthquakes are a special feature. They're free. What's that camera looking at now? It's not getting good grip on the blade with that handle. Don't like that design. Let's point that back at the printer again. There we go. There's some material I can clean up. Just making sure all that's flush. There's a lot of material here. Clean this up. I like it to have it hot. And we had some leakage a while back on there. Now doing this, it's useful to mutter. If you're the type that mutters to yourself while you work, hey, maybe you can be on YouTube too. So yes, my next big project, getting this shop built, moving the tools, some of my tools into the shop, get all my airbrush equipment out there. The shop is going to have heat in the winter. It'll be kept above freezing most of the time when I'm working out there. Then I'll crank up the temperature some more. Then I'll have a place for the chemicals such as acetone. Do my spray painting, airbrush. Airbrush will be set up out there. I might be able to stream from out there too using my surface. And then things like the drill presses, the saws, they can all be out there. Then I'll have more room in here for 3D printing and more room for trains, both of which is a priority. So now, can I get this in, make sure it's nice and tight, and hopefully there's a little bit of motion in this. I'm still not getting the filament out of here. We will start it in there. I'll heat it up and then sink it right down. Once again, I'm going, what I got close to was 112. That's more than enough. I'll let that heat. Fan should kick in. The fan kicked in. I have pliers ready. Over there. Almost tightened up. I realized why I had a crescent wrench out here before. That gives you a much better control over what you're attached to. Use a different pair of pliers for finalizing that. Here. Right idea, wrong side. Some of my tools have migrated into the other room, other things are scattered. First of all, we'll go in with this. There. In there is this little plug on camera. There we go. See that here? There we go. Just small chunk right there. Maybe 2 millimeters long. That's why this wasn't coming out. See the little tick marks on the filament, measuring how much filament is actually moving in through the extruder. Handy little tool. So that's in there. Do I want to crank it up some more? Add a little bit more heat here. Going up to 200 for a moment. I'm going to do some cleanup from when I had a leak earlier. There's still a fair amount of material, especially over on the side where the cables are. Now I got the leak cleared up. This was a large pool over here, but just notice now there's a fair amount of old melt on this side. It's coming off already. Where's much easier to look after. It's still melting. I have a hard time focusing on things just after my eyes were looked after, so I do find that these goggles make a big difference. I have to really see what's taking place here. Okay, that's hot. And that's looked after. I want to make sure, one final test, make sure that this is tight. It's tight. Okay, I'll cool her down. Okay, not touching anything till it cools down. As I said, I have this thing about frying my fingers. Now, some might say that, oh there, it's once again I'm playing with the extruder setup. Once this cooled down, we'll put it back together, and I have to cut next the PTFE tubing. Yes, while I'm waiting, I can take out the existing bit. Now this is where I had problems. dealing with PTFE tubing. This one's definitely damaged. To the point where I can't get it to come out of here. Should be able to get it to slide right out. It does not want to come out. No. Let me slide over here so I can actually see what's going on. Under extrude right side of bed. One wire was broken on the motor. Oh, okay. Well, Brenna on her extruder, she needs to do some calibration on it. It does extrude differently across the bed. And we found with the lac table, one of the issues is once we put, oh, it's not a ½ inch. Well, it might be ½ inch. It's a ½ inch camping mat. So the foam that you put under your sleeping bag. Fairly dense foam pad that's raised it such that it's very difficult to do calibration. You don't have enough headroom in there. So with the lac table set up, we have to print some legs, and we're not the only ones to run into this. As I've seen on Thingiverse, some lac table leg setups where they add a platform that might be an inch, inch and a half high. So it's one of the things on our to-do list, and it might help resolve some of the issues that we're having on there. But how do you get this off? It's starting to come. Oh. Well, if the PTFE tubing wasn't damaged before, it is now. Fine tip. Yep, there we go. Very handy when making chainmail. These are the really fine tip needle nose pliers. Now, we're down to 64 on the nozzle. Be able to put things back together shortly. Almost. I take it Full attachment, yeah, only allows you to go through one direction. I'm working on is trying to get the PTFE tubing out of the heatsink, and it doesn't want to come. Not getting good enough grip. Let's see if they have any tips for me. I have this nice card that came from E3D saying, before use, go to this page. So, there are the fans cut out. Okay, E3D. There it is. Let's go check the website. E3D. And see, so you don't see my shoulder here, I have there we go. I have to check my Stream Deck. I don't have this setting set up on there. So where am I going here? So yes, this nozzle I got from E3D. There are some North American suppliers and that. When I priced it out, it really wasn't a cost saving to going about and doing this, getting it from the North American, get it straight from E3D, and you're dealing with the warning, please read. If you hit it with a spanner, a hammer, or something like that, it will break. Okay, I like that. See if we can stock cameras here. There we go. There. If you're not using a cartridge, okay. It's fragile. Cable tie everything together. The hot end gets hot. Yes. It can be off when you do the initial tightening, but you're dealing with high currents. I specified the heater cartridge, doesn't actually say on here. There's no little piece of paper telling me what it is. If I do put this in, I think I'll take your suggestion to heart. I'll use the existing cable from the current extruder, and I'll run it to the frame and put a little terminal strip on there. Well, it's going to end up being a big one based on what I have here. Then that way I'm using the connector. It's actually for the heat end. I have all the connectors on the frame. That way I don't have to open up the box, electronics box at all. Unscrew the nozzle, 1/4 to 1/2 inch turn, okay. Thermistor. Just catching up on chat here for a second. Color Fab copper fill. I have some of that copper fill here, I think. Here's a MOS player 1.15. Yeah, that's what I have to play with. I'm putting away my metal exotics for now and focusing in on wood. Okay, I want to read all this stuff. This is more information that you get about the extruders and when you're actually just looking at the printer manufacturer site. So since this is the heart of the system, you want to learn more about it. Slide the sensor cartridge into the heater box. Okay. Using the grub screw to fix the cartridge into place. So you don't want to crack it. Okay, there's the little grub screw. Slightly different look to the one it came from the original Prusa. Original Prusa heat block does not have this slot on here. And yes, there is some thermal compound in there. I think this is something that I should go pick up a little bit more. Taking it apart. Put it together and then insert the PTFE tubing. Oh no, okay. PTFE tubing, all the joys of dealing with that. Well, all right. Yes. Direct is not optional. Now, this is probably where I damaged the current PTFE tubing, and that is I had to fight with it the very first time I took one apart, and I had a problem getting it into this section of the heat break. And that's the area that got damaged on this tubing, and that's where I ran into problems with it right now and why I have some new tubing here. So that's where I had the problem the very first time I took this apart. So let's have a look at what I got here. Let's go back to that and grab grabbing my sip. Get some water here. The other thing I have to do with this setup, okay, with all that, where to put my heat sink? So I have to work on the audio cable here. I like having this microphone, but I have to see something. Oh, it does have that slot. It's just so coated with stuff you can't tell. Alright. And now I can't see what I'm doing over there. Let me push this over. That's what we got. Okay. When I just had the desktop microphone, I always had to worry about where my head was while I was speaking. I was fine when I was doing a radio show because my head was always near a monitor. Normally had 3 monitors on the go with the radio programming, and sometimes on top of that an iPad just to bring in extra information. But you always knew where your head would be when you're doing this, especially now that I'm back into my workroom, my train room, or as I like to call it, Studio B. I can move all over the place. And since I want to do more train stuff in here, as well as just 3D printing, you can't see it here, but there's benchwork all the way around. It's a big U on the outer walls of the room, and the lower level, this is the lower level behind me, that's ON30. The upper level is HO. And the ON30 is pre-World War I, and the HO is spring of 1942. So 2 distinct time periods. Now, I wasn't planning on using this. When I started looking into it, I heard a lot of people saying, oh, you can't use 3D printing for HO work. You know, it's just not good enough. And which I've seen from a lot of stuff on the Facebook page, 3D printing for model trains, which link is down below, hopefully. There's all sorts of stuff you can do. It doesn't matter. And you know, the one thing that I printed and put into use so far for the trains, and here comes Gus where he's not supposed to be. Gus, you have to leave. See, here's my helper. Yeah, off you go, Gus. Come on, off you go. There. He just wanted to make his appearance on the show. The first thing I printed, put into use, is on the end scale layout at the train portion of the museum. So 3D printing can be used for a lot of stuff. Now, I wouldn't use a print from this. I'm just not getting this tube out of here. Try this way. Gus is down at my feet, poking around. What can I do down here? There we go. I've seen a whole lot of stuff on the 3D printing for model trains page, work people have done. Some people, you know, you get it moved off to Shapeways. Okay, yes, Gus, I've told you that is an allowable place for you. I'll move my stuff. He said. There, we'll go here for the moment and we'll work it out. I wouldn't use it for a boiler or something right now, not with an FDM printer. But, yes. You know, for some parts like that, the quality isn't there, but there's a whole stack of work you can do. I have an HO project. There's a building. It's right in front of the camera right now. Almost right in front. There. That building there. This building here is a kit I inherited, and there are no doors for it. Now, I'm going to be printing those, and where I have to be careful with is the tool path. Here's our compromise, by the way. I told Gus, yes, he can't go on the bench, but he can go in the chair, so he knows that. So I lost out this round as he's in the right. Give him a place to go, he's happy, then he does stay off everything else. But anyways, if you want some super fine detail parts, FDM printing just isn't there. But when you really look at it, a lot of the stuff we use is not super fine detail. If I want to get into the super fine detail, then I want to get into using a resin printer. There's one fellow just showed some very nice modeling. He did 3D printer, and it was the interiors for an apartment building and store. Now I had to ask him somehow, I don't know why, inside the store there were maybe 3 or 4 pigs belly up. So why? I still don't know. I almost have this out. First time this just slid out, but as I said, this piece of PTFE tubing is damaged. And it just does not want to move. But for the interior of the building, looks great. And we always have that catch. I mention it on a regular basis. When we're modeling, of course, we have the models right in front of our faces. We work on it and we work on the details. But as soon as we put it on the layout, yeah, are we ever within a foot of the actual model? You know, if I'm putting it on the museum piece, there's some areas there where the closest anybody can get to the model is 4 feet. So when adding detail, you look at, okay, put it down on the layout, and what can people actually see at this distance? What's going on here? Should be able to get this out by now. Have just a bit of the damaged piece of tubing appearing out near the top. It's mostly cleared. I'm wondering if my problem was I had a little bit of this PTFE tubing stuck inside. That's why I had the blockage. I don't know. It's moving down there. Good thing I had these needle nose pliers on here. Let's see what's going on here. No power for 6 hours. Oh, yeah. I'd be lost. Yeah, 3D printers are great entertainment for cats, as long as they keep their paws off. Right, Gus? Okay. He doesn't care. He's sleeping. Watching a series of documentaries in the last few days, and they talk about these cities where you might get power for 3 hours during the day. And they go by zone by zone by zone. It's rotating power outages. We are rather fortunate here. Now, Tesla is building that super large battery farm in Australia to help them cope with power surges, because it's becoming this issue in southern areas of Australia. So last time I did this, it just slid right out. This time it does not want to go, but looks like it should be all the way out now. So yeah, I think we're very fortunate here with our power situation. Yes, friend was in India, and there it was known that yes, okay, we have power for this amount of time. And you just had to work around that. Power came on, you charged up everything, and then you would know that power would be off at a set time. Now, one of the things that my new workshop will have will be let's see, I think I got a 175 watt solar panel right now, and I'll probably add another 250 to it for the outset, and that will not be tied in right now to the main power, but it will be a separate power system. I have so many of my tools, because of my bad hands, I can't hang on to, say, a gas-powered chainsaw or a gas-powered weed whacker. And I hate dealing with power cords, so everything is, those tools are battery powered. And I'll be able to use the weed eater, or use the solar power for all the various battery chargers. And what I'm thinking of doing is running just one feed from the inverter into the house here, and I can have the various battery chargers. Right now, just looking at my shop here, you know, you have battery chargers for your cordless tool set. I think I have a couple of those. And well, I guess the other charger in here for the battery powered weed eater and for the battery powered chainsaw. Chainsaw is a full size chainsaw under battery power. It works like a charm. I don't do a whole lot with it, but it does work. So if I anyways run one feed in here and just have it saying solar powered, and then all those items that get charged can be charged in here off of solar. And those are also the heat, what do they call them? Electricity thieves. Those chargers, if you're not using them, a lot of them, they're sensing if they're plugged in, so they have a little bit of a drain running at all times. So if I have them off the house circuit and onto the solar circuit, then it won't be an issue. And I'll just be using what I have for now as a start for that. Eventually I'll add on some more panels, maybe get it tied in. The most expensive part of the system is getting the various components you need to tie it in to your power main. So I have this stuff left over from camper, so I just want to put it to work. And then, as I said, add a panel now and have it set up. I can go up to 1500 watts with the inverter that I have right now. And then down the road I can add more. I only have one battery right now, and it's not your standard. Normally you use a 6-volt battery system with your solar power, and I have a 24 here. So I'll use my 24 for that setup in the workshop. And then when I want to expand the battery capacity, I will just retire that one. I had a chance to pick up some used 6s, but they didn't look like they're in very good shape, so I passed on that. Why is this so stuck? I am still working on the same problem here. I am considering, if I don't get this done in the next couple of minutes, going on and just using the other heatsink. The heat sinks are the same. Let's see about doing that. Where about the other heat sink? There. Okay, what do we got here? What's the proper term for this collet? You know, you got your heat sink where things are getting stuck. I can see it better on here without the tubing in there. About that far in, there's a small edging, and I believe that is where I'm having a problem with the other heatsink with my tubing. So now that I know that that's there, that little ridge, let me go back to seeing if I can find a way to get that clear. Frustrating. Gus is enjoying being king of the house. Well, he's a cat. He's always king of the house. Unfortunately, I lost my dog last week. So he's a lone cat now. The house is his for now. And once the workshop is complete and the fencing is finished behind the workshop, then Gus will get to learn how to live with another animal in the house. Once I find one. All of the cats I've had have been rescue cats. Most of the dogs, not all, but most of the dogs have been rescue dogs. So this, my plan is to find another rescue dog that I can have. But really gonna need one in the house. This is taking way too long. Okay, I'm laying that aside. That's officially done. Now, let me pull up this website again, see if they have any tips on doing this next process here. I just need to find the mouse. There we go. All that is together. Alternate ways of dealing with my tubing. Insert the tubing. In 1.75 millimeter hot ends, the tubing passes right through the heatsink and into the heat break. Below is an illustration of how far the PTFE tubing must extend. The photo below is not an assembly step, just an illustration of what should be happening inside the hot end. Okay, and what do we get there? Hey, it even gets to the right one. Good. So the tubing that we're talking about here, this is, as I say, not an assembly instruction, just how far it goes. So it's going right through the hot end and into the upper 2 millimeters of the heat break. So one thing they skip over on here, just so you know, it's a step, is there's a little, what's the proper term, collet, here that I have in my fingers, that has to go into the top before you add the PTFE tubing. So let's put that in. It's in. PTFE tubing. Goes right through. So we have it through. And now I have to move stuff from Gus. The other thing I have set up here, by the way, yes, Gus, I'm moving stuff around, doesn't really apply to you. What Gus was concerned about. This came from Micro Mart. As I said, they're not a sponsor. They should be. I talk about them enough. It's a frame for building your models. This is all magnets. So you put your item down, square them up against the edge. You can put your magnets in, hold your model in place, and let your glue set. Holds things nice and square. Another clamping system that I like to use. This adds a gap so you can add glue on the inside. Nice way to work on models. You can get these a number of lengths. Handy way of working. Right now, it's in the way of actually getting stuff done here. There. Move you back up here. I guess actually that can stay in place. These are not toys, Gus. Okay, now where? Oh, it's actually attached. Trying to figure out what we're doing here. Gus, do not eat my wiring. That's the one problem with lavs. I know you already took off with one piece of PTFE tubing. You can't have this one. Just what Gus is getting into right now. This is the end of the lav. That's where you connect to your, this is the XLR connector. It's very, very fine wiring for the actual mic. And Gus thinks it's a wonderful toy. So, this is not acceptable. Now, for me, what I have to figure out, it's what's the problem I'm having with that. Definitely one way. So, slides in, won't slide out. So your PTFE tubing, something you have to be aware of. Now when it comes out, it does slide in 2 millimeters. So you have to have that as a reminder that's inside. And what I want is a few millimeters to be sticking out the top up here. And I have to calculate that distance. First of all, let's see if we can get this connected. So we tightened the heat brake while it was hot. Everything you do with the hot end, your final tightening and your initial loosening, has to be done while the hot end is hot. Move this off to the side. We do not have the nozzle in place right now. Everything's supposed to be in this tray. I'm looking at it going, okay. One thing I don't see in the tray is the nozzle. I think I brought it down here. I'll have to go hunting for that. So, heat sinks on there. How far does this tubing go? This slides in perfectly. Now, I'm just going to make this a little bit extra length. See if once again you have to take this apart. Frustrating. Right through. I have a great game here for Gus. Why are you into PTFE tubing like that? How much space do I need? Actually, I can tell. This fits in flush from there. So the amount of tube I need. So I have to go on this side. Fill this up. It's interesting. PTFE tubing really doesn't want to fit into that space. But I have a look on the Prusa page of how it looks like on there. There we go. Probably should just show up as extruder assembly. That's the gearing. Don't talk about that distance. I have to look at Brenna's again. Let's see, going into this slot, that seems to be issue. Do they talk about it anymore? Place the nuts into the traps. Okay. Slide the extruder body on the nozzle as shown all the way down. Make sure the cables are on the side. Be careful with the extruder cables from now on. Well, I'd say you have to be careful with the extruder cables all the way along. Can't see that. Now, I never got a new set of batteries for my calipers. So I shall find out what we have there for a solution. And my sander goes crashing onto the ground. Excuse me while I bellow for a moment. Bellowing didn't work. Certain Brenna's back in there, but she must have the goes on there. Don't have a caliper. I have rulers around here. Let's see. That ruler is HO scale. A ruler's a ruler. I guess I can make that work. What do I have here? Oh, this is case for my caliper. No batteries. I have a ruler within arm's reach that I can actually use for this. I can't use that one. It won't fit in there. Oh. I don't need it to be in millimeters or inches. I just need it to be a unit. Doesn't even matter. Well, if this was in, what, HO scale? Yep. Oh, N scale. Okay. N scale ruler. Anyways, it'd be, what is that, 5 feet? So that was 6 feet plus whatever that runs over. So that's how long I need to make this. This slides in here, and then I actually need to make it longer than my first mark. Erase that. Let's put another there. That's how long I need this to be. I'm going to cut it, but I want to cut it evenly all the way around, which means once again this is coming off. Now in the flood, one thing I lost was all my X-Acto knives. So through garage sales and other things, I now have a very good collection of replacement X-Acto knives. So what I did there, of course I didn't, you can't see it on here very well. I pulled it out so I could do a straight down cut on the tube. So we'll see if this works for actually fitting it into the system. Slid right through, that's good. I'm going to get heat sink on. Heat sink is on. PTFE tubing is in. That looks like it's way too long. If I was to put this in, no, actually it's not. It might be a little bit too long though. Question is, can I actually get it to go in? Okay, this is in. And on. It worked. I may have to trim this. I may have to trim this. I think we're only setting up about 1 millimeter on here, but I won't do that until I actually get the gear in place. But it's in there. This is all together. So now, one of the key things as I put this together is I'll remember to put on this Got it all together last time, and I didn't have this idler in. The other thing you have to make sure, well, first of all, that this is tight. It is. It's on the flat, which is good. And make sure that we are face down with the stepper motor. And actually I can tell right now I have to cut that. So maybe this might be the easiest time to make that cut. The joy of a nice sharp X-Acto knife, fresh blade. Still in contact. Slightly shorter. Nice even cut there. Come off. Make sure we're facing the right direction. We're facing the right direction. PTFE tubing is not in contact with the gear. Let's unplug this so I can spin it around. Sorry, Gus, making you jump. Where did it? Allen key. The Allen key is here. And unfortunately, you guys get a nice shot of the power supply for a few moments while I put this together. Enjoy making everything accessible in the design process. Yes, so things I'd like to see: easier access to the extruder system. And that's nice, tight. This is tight. There's my fingers not working again. All right, where to go? There. Tight. Tight. Next. Bring this in, make sure our cables are into the slots. So, gotta make sure that when you do this, these cables are in. That's for the fan and for the pinda probe. And over on the other side, make sure that the cables are in for the fan and the extruder motor. And they are in. So now tighten everything up. I do like working in here because we do get a lot more light. That is very handy. And it looks like it's going in. This is where my fingers give up the ghost sometimes. So I have days where I can't hold a pen, so holding one of these is can be a real challenge. So what I'm probably going to be working on next week is putting various wood filaments through the paces, and for that I'll be using the Simplify 3D 4.0, multiple processes, and experimenting with the I forget the terminology they use. It's the easement between, this is not tight, the easement between the processes. And the reason I'll be doing it multiple processes is actually the filament that I'm using, which is Form Factor Easy Fill, I think they call it. That line, if you go to the Form Futura, not Form Factor, Form Futura site, and go to their wood filaments. There. You'll see that they show the coloration of the filaments based on temperature. So if you change your processes, so you're using different temperatures with the print, then found the nozzle, you can see you get a color change, and you can see the different grains. Now, for my trains, that's not important. That's not why I'm using the wood filament. But tight, tight, tight. Cable's clear. But for some of the doll furniture, I actually hope to just be staining the wood. I have some darker filament included in with this order. It's, what is it called? Ebony. What were the ones I got? I got the pine, which actually looks darker than what I hoped for. I was hoping to have a light one. Maybe the cork will work. Pine, coconut. Coconut is one of the other dark ones. So the coconut and the ebony are the two that I'm hoping I'll have success with the temperature changes to show the wood grain as I'm printing out the dollhouse furniture. Because the dollhouse furniture I hope to get by using some stains on the wood for the stuff I print. Now, some of the dollhouse furniture, the fellow I'm making it for, off of there. There goes Gus. No, fellow who's getting the furniture for his mother, he's going to do the painting on it. But the stuff I do, I want to be able to stain, and if it works for my experiments, he might do the same thing for things like table legs. Of course, cushion covers on the antique furniture, that will be take some fine painting, but that's the sort of thing he's into. For me, I'll airbrush something onto it. Okay, those are in. Where's my parts tray? This unused PTFE tubing. Guess I can go back to the wide camera. The one unused PTFE tubing, I am tucking away right now. Okay, it's in a drawer. It has its place. Now Gus cannot get at it. So next time I need some fresh PTFE tubing, I'm safe. This tray has had some shakes to it. Now I have to figure out what's what. I think those are the two for this fan. Yes. And let me stop. Let me take this off. Because guess what I didn't do? Minor item. Getting ahead of myself again. I did this last time. That's put a nozzle on. And just like with the heat break, you know, when you're dealing with nozzles, you can thread them on loose, but you have to heat up to, you know, 100 C is all I need, all I use. Yes, we're not. Okay, settings, temperature, nozzle, 101, Dalmatians. Okay, settings, main, info screen. Let's watch it heat up. Also, this is a good time to put on a heat sock. So while that's heating up, I'll get it started anyway. Now the nozzle that I'm using right now, E3D nozzle set, this is the 0.30 nozzle. And it's hot, and I can tell it's hot. Once again, I prefer the crescent wrench over the wrenches they provide. And there it is, 7mm. Good. Tight. Cool down. One of the other nice thing about being in here is my tools can start migrating back to where they're supposed to be living. Okay. What's our temperature? See if I can do this without frying some fingers. And make sure the heat sock, when it goes on, nothing is protruding down. And to do that, you have to work your way around the cables here. And the cable bundle right at the back of it. I have a tie, zip tie, that I have to work around. Okay, that looks good. Nothing sticking down. This corner's not in properly. There. That's on. That's on. That's good. Oh, still pushing on that bundle. There. That slid on now. Like that over the cables. We're on. We're on. Well, that's better than last time. Not having to go back and forth too many times. I think last time I had to go back and forth 3 times. Now, have the idler. Nozzle's on. Everything's tight. Good. Now I have the 2 lengths. The shorter ones are these. These seem to have to go in further. Always something. These don't appear to want to get all the way through. Whereas should we in? Short. It's just a side fan. Don't seem to be lining up quite right. Waiting for it to get a bite. This one. There we go. That one's in. So yes, next week, wood filaments, working with that. Hopefully I'll have some items printed and I can try some stains, see how that takes. I do like how they react for finishing. They do take some sanding, much better than the sanding on just regular PLA. For the model stuff, sanding is required, I find. This top one's just not getting a bite. Bottom one went in fine, so it has to be close. My milk shed, where I'm going to be printing the main supports for it, I'll be using the wood for that. And once again, I'm going to try staining it before I paint it, just to see if how it looks. What's going on here? Okay, this isn't tight. There. How will you bite? Yep. It's amazing what happens when you actually look at something as opposed to trying to go by feel. Of course, after going through all of this, I have to do a complete recalibration. Which means I have to go get an actual sheet of paper in here. Okay, that's on. I have these on the fan. Make sure it's pointing down. Make sure the cables. I have a pinch cable here. That's just that loosen it off some. No. Great. Almost got through all this. That's why you have a look at all your cables too. I have a Western Maryland woodshed. That's the next thing that, milk shed. Simple stop for the milk run. Passengers get a little bit of shelter over top. A couple of milk cans on there. And you're set up. Now, when I was visiting my mom, you have the one of the family milk cans left when they used to have a few milk cows. And next time I go, she's in a different city. Next time I go there, I'm going to take a bunch of pictures of the milk can. And I'm going to model it. So the milk cans that will be put out in the morning. Hope this cable wasn't damaged. Guess we'll find out. There, it's in the groove now. But the milk cans that will get put out in the morning on my layout will be the family milk cans. Which I thought was kind of cool. I think about, I think I mentioned last week, the other thing I want to model is some pigs at the farm. Because, and this will be a very specific thing that goes on the model, when I was young, learning how to rope, I roped my uncle's sow. Now, roping a sow isn't a big deal. They don't move around a lot until they have a rope on them. Then they move a whole lot. They do it very rapidly. My uncle never let me forget that. So that will become a scene at the farm. A bunch of kids playing with ropes around the hog pen. It's fun. When I went to college, took drama, and it was a mandatory course that we had to go through. I was taking television production, but part of it was being on stage, and the part I ended up with for our final play was just a roper, because we were doing Annie Get Your Gun. And so I spent a full semester, but the only thing I did for that class was be there with the lasso, roping chairs, people walking down the hallway, things like that. A lot of fun. Fortunately, we only were on for 3 nights, and the night that family and friends were there was the one night where I actually managed to rope what I was supposed to during the play. The first night we were on, they didn't tell me until the curtains went up. I was one of the first people to come on stage. They went, "Oh, you can't wear your glasses." So I couldn't see what I was supposed to rope when I came out, so I missed that time. Family came, and I did the roping the way I was supposed to. Everything worked fine that night. Last night, just before I threw, when we were walking on stage, the lead walked right into the rope. I had the rope right behind me. I got him right across the forehead. He got way too close, much closer than he was supposed to be. Yeah. Do not damage the gondola. I think we should be okay there. I'm not going to put these in yet. I'm going to hold off. We're there. The nozzle. Nothing on the heat sink. The Pinda probe, I haven't changed the height on it or anything. So let me find a sheet of paper that I can use. Do I have a regular sheet of paper? I do. Elements.ca. There's nothing on there. Good. Okay, calibration. Let's do a self-test first. That's the fan nozzle. Oh. Yeah, it failed because I messed up on here. Now, calibration worked. Operator didn't work. Yes, you're spinning. Yes, you're spinning. I have nothing back there. Oh, we're not on level ground. Checking hot end. Let's get you off the glass. I'll rearrange this later. While it's doing that, let's see what's going on here. Yeah, E3D V6. That's what's on here. Direct from E3D rather than one of the importers. When I calculated it out to get it here in Canada, or even getting it to the US Post Office and bringing it in, I saved about $6 by getting it directly from E3D for this order. XYZ okay, checking the bed, hot end okay. Priority for when I go out this afternoon, I have to get new batteries for my calipers. The other thing I have now in here, while this is going on, these come from Lee Valley. It's just straight drawer sets. And so I've set up things. I just have to put a few more parts under the desk, and then I'll actually have some storage up and running for the desk, and that'll help me clear off a bunch more stuff from here. All these things. Self-test, okay, so let's go back to calibration, XYZ, and let's go up top. Okay, we're there. Everything's good here now. Are we up? Yes. Place a sheet of paper. I have a sheet of paper here. And let's go. So yes, the other thing that's coming up, I have to print the new doors for this goods shed. And with that, this is like corrugated siding on here. And what I'll do is use the print pattern itself to add the corrugations. Don't have to model it in. Just the bands that you'll get naturally will take care of that. The outer passes will look like framing for the door. Just have to model in some simple hinges, not hedges, hinges for it. So that's a kit that I got in as from the estate of a modeler. Don't have a place to put it, but I want to finish the kit and get it out of the way. It'll end up top somewhere. The HO layout is mostly in an urban area or industrial area, and the area above this workbench is just, the entire thing is just a heavy-duty steam servicing facility. So a shed like that will work in with it. I also have a full iron or steel mill that I inherited as well, and that's up behind me. Most of the steel mill is actually in N scale with some HO components put in the foreground, which actually works quite well. I did not plan on having a steel mill as part of the HO layout, but it's the way things worked out, and it helps with the industrial nature of the layout. I have a few houses, things like that, that'll go in there as well. But if you take a look at the Wather's catalog of engine servicing facility buildings, I have most of them here, including two 130-foot turntables. Although one of them is not functional, and it's actually out in my shed because it was on the floor in my workroom when we got hit by the flood. So it's covered in silt. My idea was in the other area where I had a much bigger train layout space, was to have what they did out east in a few areas, dual turntables and roundhouses. So you'd pass through one roundhouse and end up in another roundhouse. So I was thinking of doing that, but with having the damaged turntable as just a dummy and fixing up the bridge on it. So Good. I got a feeling these are high. When it comes time to do printing. And the little thing that I just printed out, and that's my filament holder. For the MK2S, the way it ships is it just ships with the two arms, and so most of us have added something to it. I printed this just to have the extra ledge on there, and it works out quite handy. The other item I have, which I'll have to bring in, is the spools for the maker box filaments. Now this much filament I haven't picked up yet. I have to got in the other day, but I haven't been down to the border to pick it up. But that is makes you want to print with that stuff more often. And Brenna, could you make for me some iced tea, please? Thank you. In a mug. So, getting through calibration. My plan was to put this printer in a lac table enclosure. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that. I won't know until I move stuff into the workshop. That will let me know if I can plug it in the corner here. If I do that, though, doing stuff on camera with it will be more difficult. We'll wait and see. But the other thing is I am contemplating a second printer in the house. We do have a second printer in here right now, but the second printer is Brenna's, and she hopes to move out at some point. So kids do that. I've been lucky to have her here. There we go. i.e. she brings me iced tea. Thank you. There. So what do we got? Oh, still working. One more thing, Brenna. Do you have the alcohol over there? I may have missed her. She may have her headset on. It's not over here, is it? No, I don't see it there. I don't see it in here. Excuse me for a moment while I go get the alcohol so I can wipe the table. I'll be right back. There, sorry about that. One of the things I have found is that after doing any major work, I like to clean the bed first time with Windex. After I'm done with the Windex, during regular prints, I just use alcohol. I put some in the spray bottle. but Windex seems to be give the best results when you're starting out. The song of the printer. I guess I'm at the point. I'm just using basic PLA here. But I realize that I have to slice an object to do my test prints with, because I don't have right nozzle. What do I got? What I like doing for my first test print well, it's oh, we're there. Oh, okay. Let's, here we're on Cruise's site. This is guide, answers, store, back, manuals. Let's see if we can get to the right location. Drivers, firmware, forum, material guide, quick tips. There's the models. STL 3D object folder. Oh, okay. So since I've downloaded this, it should be here. I just have to reslice them for a 0.3 nozzle. So where are they here? Where didn't really install it? You see it's on the desktop. There we go. Okay, what do we got? Marvin. Okay, this is just this stuff. I've never actually printed a Benchy. The one I actually like doing first is not available here, it looks like. Okay, let's find what we can do here. Calibration, PLA. There. One horse, belly up. Yeah, solve it, G-code. New computer. EMF. How come view details, hidden items, following, there we go, thank you, all G code. There we go. I need an STL. Okay, when in doubt, just crank something. Let me deal with this. I'm worried about my book. Email username. Oh. If I could type right, things would work a little bit better. There we go. Let's put Fusion back. It's busy. Okay, calibration has been successful. Yes, we have to do calibration after that. Okay, in the meantime, we can preheat for PLA. I guess the other thing I can buzz that up a little bit higher. There you go. Info screen. See when we're warm enough. We're back here with Fusion 360. We're just going to do something real easy. Unless I have something I can fire off the top. I don't have anything I want to do there. Let's turn this off. Sketch. We're going to create something. And make something useful here. Rectangle. Okay. And 5 millimeters. Now that's another sketch on that surface. And I want text. We'll see how this works. Text is a 4. And it needs to be really big. Also needs to be on that angle. Move to the center point and height That happens if it's 40, 80. There. Okay. What am I missing here? That's the item I want. Let's add this another 5. Oh. It's going to be joint operation. Okay, select that. 5 millimeters. And it's a drawing. Okay, very simple. Yeah. As I said, super simple. That's a dollar plate, 4 plate. I have a use for this. And we are going to make this. We're going to not send it to a print utility. We selected that. Okay. And this will go into models. And I need a few of these number plates. So I want another folder. We actually talked about this on the last Friday night stream, file management. In here, and I'll call it plate file management. And you keep your slices. Some people, they don't. They just blow them away and reslice each time they need something. But some of us, we keep everything. The big thing you come into is how do you name things. So work. Rotation, is that the X? Yep. And there. Simple print. Now, within here you have to deal, it's a pain to change the edges on here. I haven't done anything to this. But actually that's the way I want it, straight edges. But if I were to do this in cruise control, it'd be really easy to change the color. Maybe I'll do that in a moment. As it is, that's all I need, but I have to edit my process. And that is the nozzle diameter is actually 0.4. I've not done a calibration on here, so I'm just going with the straight settings. Now that's all there is to it, and you can't get much simpler than that, except there's support on there. I don't need that. Okay, process, support, generate support material. Do not do that. Do not use a skirt and a brim or a raft. There we go. I guess we need a skirt. Okay. Let's have another look at it. There we go. That's all I need. Very simple. get into documents. I keep everything within the folder for the number plates. Now this is 4-plate G code. I put in here it's PLA, and that it is it's a 3-0 nozzle. So I didn't go into any of the other data for this. I'm not playing with it at all right now. Nothing on retractions or any other print speeds. So that's there. So now I get to experiment with something new that I just put into this printer, or this computer. It is a multi-card reader. So I have to figure out which slot is for this card. Where's my tray? You go into which slot right there? Oh, not that one. That one. That work? I would have expected to see something come up saying new device found. This PC. Okay, it actually did pop up. It just didn't let me. Oh, I have audio muted on here. That's why. Okay. So it's the G. So let's go to our documents. 3D printing. None of this is being seen. So 3D printing. Let's get into the models. Number plates. And here's my G code. And I will just send to D drive. Done. Okay. Now, one of the other handy things to have when you're working with this stuff, I have low pin light. Now let's clean print bed. It's nice and warm. Last thing I need is more heat in here. It's warm. And this needs to be trimmed to shape. Where's my nippers? See if this loads. Loads like a charm. Oh. That's straight in. Coming through nicely. I have to finish putting this back together. Immediately went through. I love it. Just tighten these up a little bit. And then we'll fire off a test print. More tension on the extruder. Good. Okay, let's see if we can print from this. Drum roll, please. I'll use this to calibrate Z height, live Z. Live Z is untouched at this point. We'll see how it goes. Where's that iced tea? And I look up and I see a ruler. We got some, but not all. Just got a blob it's following. Let's crank down. Okay, it's trying. Just Live Z. Okay, let's go the correct direction. Killing this shortly, but I want to get some pressure there. I just got a blob coming up. Okay, let's stop the print, clean up that, and restart. Let's take this up higher. Just got some mesh there. And a puddle over here. Come on, stay. Any left on this? No, that's clear. Okay, let's try that again. Note to self, keep the tool for 3D printing. If I need to scrape something off of something else, use something else. I have some of that double-sided tape goo stuck on my scraper here. It doesn't want to come off. There we go. Okay. What are we looking at? Not much of anything right now. Let's get this to look at the print bed. There we go. The other thing I have to get going on, and I hope to actually do that if this is up and running happily, that is I will print off the camera holder so I can hook up the Octopi with its camera onto the system. I need to build the camera mount and the Octopi, the actual Pi computer holder for it. Well, some people put it on the side. I've seen some where it's actually attached to the frame. So, something to play with. And what do we get? Yeah. You get much ugliness. And we get a cat. Gus, off, off. you. Off you. Attacked by the Gus. Now, I was doing Zeta. And pretty much what we were doing last time. I'm getting some better. We're just bundled right up here. See, it's not pressing down enough. I have to stop it, clean it up. See, it's still not pressing the filament, the plastic onto the bed. So I have to take this much higher. Then I'll go in and adjust the pin to probe itself. We'll see what happens. What I really need to do is make Gus a bed in here, and I can't really do that until this bench work that was set up for an old module, and for the new bench work I actually have to drop the shelves by about an inch. So once I get that, then I can build a setup for Gus to come in and have a place to sleep. So the extruding issues appear to have been dealt with. Now it's part of my problem coming from, hi Gus, yes, it's working here. I'm wondering if part of my problem is coming from it over extruding for this size of nozzle. It could very well be that. That's why I'm getting so much material. Still looks like it's way too high. Okay, I'm going to stop this and adjust the pin to probe. We'll have to find out. Recommendations for extrusion rates for a 3.0 nozzle. First of all, let's this X go into the center and push the Y back some. Okay, we'll go down. That's 0. Okay. Where is my ever handy zip tie and pen? So we're on close up there. That's quite high. So I'm going to drop. Need just to pin the probe. Now, let's take my Z back to 0. Okay, that's good. Where is the little screwdriver? Now, I consider that to be high. It says it's at 0. At this point, that's where that should be. I move it up, then it should be down. Let me drop this down. I turned that back on just because we're still sitting at 90. Oh, where's my piece of paper? Once I can turn it off, I guess I can let go of, I can do that. Not the way I normally do things, but settings, disable steppers, there we go. Nope, that didn't do what I want. Power mode. I've never actually changed power mode actually either. What do we got coming up here? Where are we? Temperature wise, 69. We'll let it keep cooling, then I'll turn it off and do my adjustments. Oh, I'm supposed to be off to this meeting in about 20 minutes. Didn't realize it'd been that long. Well, we're making progress. We are extruding. I have to deal with the height. I didn't realize I've been on this long. Time flies when you're having fun. I got to take a look at the settings for this because, well, A, I'm at the wrong height, but I think it's putting out too much filament here at the start. That's why it's looking like that instead of a nice straight feed. So I will look into dealing with this stuff. We will finish adjusting the height. next week I want to focus in on wood filaments and printing with that. That is my plan. Now, as I said, I'm probably going to miss the stream one of these weeks, maybe next week, maybe the week after, as I'll be with the crew as we move the one shed and put in the other one, because that'll happen probably on a weekday and probably on a Wednesday from my understanding. Tuesdays get booked up, but we will do our best. I will let you know. I was out of it on Sunday, that's why I didn't post a blog there. We will hopefully have one up this week, and there's no Friday night chat this week. So that's where we stand. I'm letting that cool off. I'm going to sign off here. Thanks for joining in. Find me over on 3D Printing for Model Trains on Facebook. You can go over to the website, songology.ca. It can show you the links to the other sites, one for the trains and one for Songology, my other channel. I haven't uploaded to that. Bruce is taking it easy right now. He has several episodes on the way, so once he gets those done, he does his part, then I do mine, and then we finally get them on. We have about 200 episodes to go with that one, with the old material, and he has a bunch of new material as well. So, okay. Yep, slow. Bob, yeah, you're here. We're just wrapping up. Actually, we did go through the extruders. We're up and running. I actually put in a new heat sink. This is the old one, and then the PTF tubing is actually stuck right inside, and I could not get it out. So that is something I will fiddle with now as well. So we will continue on, as I said, wood next week, and Facebook, 3D Printing for Model Trains is the main one. I do have Zidim 17. I pop over to it from time to time. And I started streaming on Twitch. If I'm not watching documentaries while I play Minecraft, I'll fire up Twitch. I know we took Glenn and Xander through it on Friday night. I'm building something that in Minecraft, I'm figuring, I started saying 2 to 3 years. I'm now thinking 3 to 4 years to complete this one. My last one took me 2 years to build. It's a rather large building. So, but it's something good when your brain's not functioning. So, thanks for joining in, guys. Be safe out there, and we'll see you next time.